What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Student Built Startups podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Stone, entrepreneur and marketing analytics student at UMD. I interview student entrepreneurs to share their stories and business strategies. Now, today's guest is our first guest to return for a second interview. He is our favorite up-and-coming artist from UMD, and he'll be updating us on his story and what he has learned over the past year. I encourage you to go check out his newest album, Not Your Average Joe, on Spotify. So without ado, I'm thrilled to be having Joey D back on the SBS podcast today. All right. Hey, Joey D, I'm happy to have you here on the Student Built Startups podcast. I know it's been a while, and I'm happy to have you here as our first guest for our re-entrance into the podcast world. So I'll have you start off by saying hello to everyone and sharing one thing about yourself that most people don't know.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joey D. If you don't know me, I'm a local artist. I go to school at UMD. I've made 2 projects so far. Both of them are on Spotify. I have 4 music videos on YouTube. I just released my latest music video for my song I'm Only Human off my album Not Your Average Joe. You can find me all social media, Joey D Donovan, no spaces, no caps. And then on Spotify and all streaming at Joey D.
All right. Awesome. Well, I know you were on episode 7 of this podcast, and maybe you can start off just by kind of refreshing us on kind of what your education is looking like and your story as an artist, kind of how that started.
Yeah. So I started, probably it goes back to the first time I've always loved music. My parents had huge speakers growing up, and they had every CD, cassette tape, and I wasn't huge on names. I didn't care about the song title or anything. I just wanted to play music. I wasn't too focused on specific people. I just loved the music itself. One of the biggest things for me was the T-Pain app. Honestly, when I was young in middle school, that came out, and I was always obsessed with T-Pain and how auto-tune sounded. So I downloaded this app. I paid like $5 for the app. And they had a couple different beats only a couple, like maybe 10. You have to buy the rest of the beats. But then I just put headphones on, and I'd go in my closet and pretend that I was in my own studio. And I would freestyle, and I didn't have my voice yet. I couldn't sing. I wasn't very good at rapping, but I knew what other people sounded like. So I would go and see how much I can sound like them. I love doing impressions. So I'd do a Lil Wayne, I'd do Drake, Rick Ross, anything, and I was like, oh, that sounds nice. I sound just like him. So from that kind of transitioned me into high school. When my friend, he had a MacBook, and he said he had GarageBand. So we went over to his house, and I would be sitting on his computer while my other friends were playing video games. And I would just be I'd say, hey, Cole, can I borrow your computer and go in the room? And I'd just be rapping and freestyling and trying to write my own songs and stuff. And we ended up putting out a couple songs. And people, they actually did pretty well on Spotify or on SoundCloud for just being like funny songs.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be funny. That's the thing. People were like, oh, that's great. You're like a little Dicky. And that right there hurt me, because I was doing it for pure passion, and I was just trying to be funny. So other people didn't like almost make fun of me for trying so hard, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. And then it transitioned as I got older. That was probably like freshman year of high school. And then it was junior year of high school. And I found Colin Makes Beats. I had known him since freshman year, but he was just making EDM music. He wasn't actually like producing hip hop, or he wasn't recording at all at that point. So I went over to his house one day. Me and my friend Fasayo, we made a song. And after that, when I heard myself on a nice microphone in the studio atmosphere, I was just absolutely hooked. So then senior year comes around, and there's this rap at our school. He raps super fast. His name's Jay Spaz. He's on a couple songs with me. And he had some clout from this song, got like 100K on SoundCloud or something like that. It was just like a remix. So then I was like, I think it was on Facebook he put it out. So then I just walked up to him in the hallway and said, hey man, me, you, and Colin, let's get together and let's kill the talent show. Let's just absolutely go off. Let's show people like that we're not something we mess around with, that we're not funny people. We're actually serious about that. So we did it. And after the auditions, we were actually the number one rated performance going into it. So they put us last. So we got to be we got to be the closer. And that was one of my first songs. We grinded on it. It took us about a month to get it because we just wanted to be so, and it was I mean, it was pretty good, but it wasn't great. We were just kind of throwing things together. We didn't know what we were doing. But I also hosted that talent show too. So it was kind of funny. I was hosting wearing dress clothes, and then I went to the back, changed out in all black, and I came back as Joey D. And then honestly, from that day on, that's when it really secreted in my head, or cemented in my head, that like I can do this, because the crowd was loving it. Everybody was just telling me how amazing it was. So then we put out a music video right after. I got my cousin to shoot it for free. He shoots lacrosse videos for a living. He travels to like Israel and all over the country.
Oh, wow.
So we got him to do the video, and it was amazing. And I missed that about myself. I'm trying to get back into it. We were so ballsy that we just didn't care. Like, we were just like, we are the best. It doesn't matter who believes it. We're going to show them. We asked the athletic director if we could shoot a music video at the halftime of our rivals' basketball game. This is the most hyped basketball game all year, Tartan versus North. So then we get there that day, and we're preparing. We're ready. We weren't really even preparing. I told my cousin, just bring the camera and we're just going to do whatever. I gave him a quick rundown. All right, I'm going to walk in front of the middle of the court, and then I'm going to go in front of the student section. That's all we had. So we go to the game, and at halftime we go up and say, hey, like, we're going to remember what we talked about. We're going to do a music video. He goes, oh, I thought he had no idea. It didn't process in his brain that we wanted to shoot a music video. I think he thought we were going to like just film the game or something. We said, no, that's what you agreed upon. So he goes, all right, you get a couple minutes. So we went up to the guy who was on the speakers. We said, plug this in, and he turned it on, and we just went. And you can find that video on YouTube. It's called Wake 'Em Up by Joey D and Jay Spaz and Colin Makes Beats. That video was hype. We had the whole student section. They didn't know what was going on. They just saw a camera and some guys wearing chains, and they started going crazy. Whoa! And little kids started coming in, and they were dancing and shit. And I was like, this is so hype. So, and then I got to college, and then I was just like, all right, I hate school. School is so boring. This is all I want to do. Grades were bad the first couple of years, but hey, I was putting out music. And then now the music production got a little slow in the sophomore, junior year, because I was trying to build that GPA back up. But now I'm coming full force.
Awesome, man. That's a really, really actually cool story of how you started with the mixtape and the T-Pain app, and something that small kind of just leads you down that path and kind of shows you what your passion is. And one thing I wanted to kind of go back to was how you said that your people kind of took your first song as like kind of funny, and you did you say that you like almost intentionally made it kind of funny? I
did. I don't curse as much as I do in this one. When I was younger, I knew that none of my family members, no business people were going to see it. No one besides my school. It was like an internal thing. I remember we actually deleted it because we deleted that SoundCloud because my dad said, I heard you have a SoundCloud. Can send me the link. And I said, quote, get rid of it now. Because I have super strict parents, and they would have had my ass if they would have heard some of the stuff that was on those ones, because it was the most vulgar you could possibly imagine. Very not PC at all.
I find it fascinating because I feel like a lot of people do that when they're first starting to do something.
Yeah.
They're worried about criticism and what other people are going to think. So they feel as if they make something like not super real.
Right.
That if people don't like it, well, you can think, well,
you can just say, it's just a joke. I didn't actually care about it. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be good. It's just funny. And that's like, no. So I remember people tried telling me too, like, Joe, stick to the funny rapping. You're not a real rapper. You're not a real singer. Stick to being funny. That's what you're good at. And that just hurt me too. Because I'm like, when I listen to music, I don't want it to be funny. Like, yeah, you can have funny punchlines, but I want it to like be more. Like, if I wanted to be funny all the time, I'd go do stand-up comedy gigs, but I don't want to be funny. I want to be that man entertaining people and putting them in a good mood and changing their vibe. Like, I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't think there's a place for it in music. There is a little bit, but no.
I get what you're saying. And then one other thing I wanted to talk about was you said that like back in the day you were so ballsy. And I feel like that applies to so many different things. I feel like as you go through life and you get older and have more experiences, like life kind of just pounds the
100%.
That kind of stuff out of you. And I feel like it takes a big like conscious effort to reframe yourself to imagining like this stuff is possible.
Yeah.
You just have to go and try.
It's that little kid aspect, man. When you're a kid, the world is your canvas. When you grow up, people just want to suppress you. They want you to be humble. They want you to be just like your parents. They want you to be in the family business. They want so much crap, but no one ever people are scared to step out of that because of the risk. And I'm just getting to the point where it's like, just who cares, man? I'd rather get fired. I'd rather do so much more. I'd rather die than to be living a life that I don't enjoy and that is not in my brain. I want exactly what's in here to be out with the world. No matter if people agree with it now, it will at some point happen. That's just how you have to look at it. And you got to keep that mental. That's why I always talk about mental toughness, because you're your own worst enemy. And a lot of times I'm sitting in my room, even after I saw this article, it's a real thing, like artist depression, and they're usually so excited. Then after they put a project out or a piece of art out and it doesn't get the plays or the recognition they get in a slump, and they have a hard time making something else because they're like, well, why should I put all this effort if no one's listening? You know?
Yep.
I do it. I found a good way to get over that, though. Even if no one's listening right now, say you die tomorrow, your family members will always have that piece for, like, that's the thing about art and music. Your parents will always be able to hear your voice. They'll always be able to, like, see, like, oh, my son was great. My son in his own way, no matter if the world even knew, like, he was. And that's basically, I just want to prove my parents right, you know?
Yeah. I actually really kind of had a similar like mindset shift at one point when I first had my first 4 or 5 interviews in my podcast like recorded and like scheduled to publish.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, like if I was to die tomorrow, like this would be out there in the world.
Right.
And like, even if it's not me who benefits from it, I'm sure somebody else will, and my family will be able to have that for ever. So
to be able to, I mean, I think regret is scarier than death, man. Honestly, because you're dying while you're inside, and it's eating, like, you're dying while you're awake and while you're living. Like, that's horrible. And you see so many people, they're mushy robots. They just do what other people say. They just go to their job and they go home and they sleep, and they watch TV, they watch Netflix, and they sleep. I honestly am not a fan of Netflix. I watch a couple things, but I don't like it, man, because you can just get so sucked in, and you get so sucked in and you don't even realize it. The biggest thing I did, I mean, I started playing video games during quarantine again, but the biggest thing I did in high school was just quit playing, just block everything out. I stopped playing video games, and I just started doing what I thought my purpose was. And that brought me the most happiness that I've had.
Yeah. You know? I can't agree with that enough. Blocking out those things that aren't bringing you value and kind of guiding you towards like where you want to be in life.
Yeah. 100%.
So let's kind of move on to our next topic.
Yeah.
Related around like business and how you're using kind of some of that knowledge to help you. So how have you been able to use your business knowledge that you've gained through school? I know you're studying finance to kind of help you excel in your musical ambition. Where have you been able to like cross reference each kind of area to kind of benefit yourself?
This one I have trouble with, and I think that's the main thing a lot of people do is you have the layout of social media and you have the tools with promoting your stuff on Instagram and content creation. What I've just been trying to do is also get out of my own head, because it's worse for me on Instagram and social media when I post something, especially when it's my art, and then it doesn't do anything on there, because I'm like, okay, well, if it's not doing anything on social media, how is it gonna happen? You know? and there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, you can plan it out. The biggest thing is just posting content and quality content. And I need to do more of this. I've realized I post the video with my cover art or a music video or something, but I just need to get interacting with fans and get more of that interaction going, more Instagram lives, more videos of me talking, and more behind the scenes stuff as well. And just record, like have someone record me while I'm in the studio, while I'm, previewing the song at the studio, when I'm in my writing process, or just all that can be used that I haven't been taken advantage of. And those are just the things I've been kind of realizing over quarantine, kind of analyzing where I'm at with my accounts. TikTok, I'm still pushing there, still trying to get more views on my content. I'm trying to mix it up, trying to get a good mix of funny, relatable, and then music. Because I don't want to, you can bombard people with just your music. But I think you got to give them a little bit of you, and then the music, a little bit of you, then the music. Because then that's how you really get fans, is by them buying into you as a person. It's more, that's where the sales aspect comes into. The product is one thing, but if they don't like you, I mean, people aren't going to want to invest in supporting you. So I think I need to invest in my fans more, the small amount that there is. But if you can't appreciate your small number of fans, how are you going to make, your large fans happy,
Yeah, definitely. That's like the whole social media thing for promoting stuff. It's kind of tough because like there's such a massive opportunity with like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok.
Yeah.
But it's like you go and you post something and you put a lot of effort into it, and it's like it gets like 30 likes or 100 views or whatever, and like inside you're kind of like, well, this person got 100,000. Like, why is mine not equivalent with that?
Exactly.
It's tough because it's just understanding like how that works for some people, but not for others. But I do think what you said about interacting with fans and kind of getting more, building like more like actual connection between them.
And not only fans, just anybody. I need to do better networking. Just reaching out to people and creating relationships. The problem, I don't want to use money as an excuse, because that's something that people say, oh, like the big social media gurus say, you don't need money to get famous. It's like, okay, bullshit. Because I just paid $60 for promoting my post, right? But if I'm also trying to get tons of content out as well as promoting it, I don't know. I don't have $60 laying around every post, And then it comes down to, well, which post? Well, which content? Well, which, and there's analytics to dive into it, but it's so hard to exactly, there is a science behind it, but there's also a little bit of something else going on. I don't know.
There definitely.
I was looking today, and another thing that's tough is when you're looking for outside promotion, who do you trust? Which page is actually a solid page? Are those followers real fans of that page that's promoting these music videos and other people's stuff? Or is this page bot accounts? Or is this page, do they just follow tons of people and then unfollow tons of people and then take people's money? Because that's that seems like a great gig, to have a high follower count, and then you just get these people, funneling them in with, oh, it's $50 promotion for a page that's got 1 million people on it. Oh, sure. I was looking at one today, and I almost fell for it. But then I went and saw each people's individual posts, and they'd get views, but they would get 1 comment, 0 comments. So you're telling me there's 987,000 people following this page, and 35,000 people viewed it, and 1 person commented?
Yeah.
I just don't. It's tough to know, and I would like to get to a point where I'm not working with, where I have enough money where I want to put thousands into that aspect, instead of $30 for these smaller pages and trying to navigate which pages. I want to just get, with this job after college, save some money, and then I can properly promote things with an actual like agency, who they're gonna not only they have connections with bloggers, they have connections to the music industry, real connections. not just fans or followers on a page. They have actual connections, because that's where things happen when you get that one media manager person who knows what they're doing. And not to say you can't do it on your own, you definitely can. There's just a huge learning curve and a lot of time and money that needs to go into that.
Yeah, definitely. And one other thing I wanted to mention was that I know you mentioned about how you need to like kind of pay attention to your small amount of followers before you can get a larger number of them. And I just think that's a really good point, because like if you really think about it, like if you have like 60 people that like really like interact with your post once in a while, like that's 60 people. Like imagine if you're in a room with like 60 people, that's like a solid number of people, but it just seems so like tiny in comparison. That's why like comparison is not.
Oh, comparison is horrible. Because with those, my numbers on Spotify and Apple and all that, if you look at how many people follow me and my followers on Instagram, the numbers are real decent for sure. And I always look at the number and compare it to other people. But I have, I think, like 88 followers on my that follow my Spotify, and I got, 1,000 plays, like 1,300 plays on Playboy, and thousands of plays throughout the other songs. These are people who are downloading this to their playlists and like they're in love with it. They're repeating the song, and that's what you want to do. You need a solid core of people. I mean, that's why Russ at a bigger scale is so popular. His fan base is so loyal that they will not turn on him because they've been with him since he was 18 years old, 19 years old. It's not like that's the problem with blowing up overnight. These people will turn their back on you if you try something new. If you have a song that you have somebody featured that they don't like, if that's why real solid fans are so important. That's why it's better to, go for the long game than short game.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of like a good transition from this would be like mindset. I know we talked about comparison and that sort of stuff. So what kind of mindset do you try to keep yourself in, and what do you typically do to try and maintain that?
Yeah. Patience is one. Understanding that I'm young is another thing that I try to remind myself. I'm young, but that doesn't mean I slack. That means I'm still working. I'm still trying to progress every day. And I compare it to snowboarding a lot because I found a lot of life lessons in snowboarding. I always thought that the learning curve for things were so much bigger than they are, and that they were like the barrier for entry to things were so much harder. But the barrier for entry it's a matter of, do you want to start working or not? That's it. And are you okay to deal with the pain? Are you able to deal with the pain and get back up? Because I started snowboarding last year, and the first time out, I almost destroyed myself. And do you think some people would say, I'm never doing that again? That hurt, that's scary, that's painful. I said, let's get more of it, because I know that I can do this. So now I'm out there a year later. I've only been out 12, 13 times, and I'm going to the terrain park. I'm board sliding. I'm going off jumps and stuff. And am I great? No. Am I eating shit every time? Almost. But for me to even be trying these things and to be attempting, I'm getting better. And the bigger you go, I mean, the harder you're going to fall. But then if you get back up from that, when you don't think you can get back up, you don't think you can try it again, that's where greatness comes from. And you hear celebrities talk about it, but it's when you see those, when you connect that with actually physical pain, I feel like that's when it gets like cemented in your mind.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. And also when I'm creating, I try to tell myself that I'm already a famous artist. I'm already this popular artist. My fans are dying to hear what I've came up with next. They're waiting on it. And they don't care. They don't care what it is. They just want me. They just want my sound. They just want a piece of my creation,
Yeah. And that's like the mindset you need to have for kind of achieving anything. You have to
that
believe
abundance mindset. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Those are some really, really great, like kind of snippets for people to kind of analyze there.
Yeah. You have to be your number one fan, and you have to and it's self-belief, man. It's self-belief.
Because that'll
core.
transfer through.
Absolutely.
That'll transfer through, especially with your music. If you don't believe in yourself, they're going to be able to hear that.
Absolutely.
So
can't stress that enough. Self-belief. And the way you get to self-belief is by not comparing yourself to others and being appreciative of your small wins. You know, learning a new skill, anything, learning, hitting a little bit of a higher note, getting a catchy line. Just keep doing that. It's gratification. It's classical conditioning at its root. You do something well, you want to repeat it again and get that same confidence boost, that same self-esteem boost, and you will continue to do that. But if you tell yourself you're bad, downward spiral. You want to continually be building and progressing and advancing. It's the only way you can do it.
Definitely. Yeah, that's I couldn't say it better. So kind of as a last question before the Fast Five here, for those people that are wanting to start making music and they haven't started yet, or maybe they've made music but they haven't shared it yet.
Yeah.
What would your advice for them be?
Songwriting, when it comes to a song, if you're talking in terms of, it depends on what you're talking about. I would say where I went wrong was not getting my own setup first, going external first. I had the lyrics, but I didn't have a way of recording, so I went to somebody. Save up, and people think it's so hard. I mean, I guess my parents helped me out a lot, and a lot of people don't have that. So, but if you get a part-time job and you're working, save money, get yourself recording software, get yourself your laptop, get yourself a cheap mic. I have a cheap mic. I don't use it because I go to my buddy Collins for that, but I'm trying to get better at that, at the whole well-rounded aspect. So then one day I won't have to pay $30 an hour just to go practice, just to go, I can practice in my room now.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say get your own setup. And I'm trying to almost copy Russ's, what he's been preaching, but what he did really paid off, no matter if you like him or not. His way he went about it is giving you the best chance for success. Because when he was young, he got his own basement studio and he became a producer, and then he started writing, and then he didn't know anybody, so he was forced to learn it himself. And he didn't make excuses. He didn't say, I don't know how to play piano, I don't know how to do this. He learned it. And that took time. It took 10 years for him. People want it. I see people who, they go, I just started rapping 3 months ago, and here's my song on Spotify. Hold on. That's way too fast. Way too fast. Not to say you have to be a perfectionist at all, but you have to hone in. You have to sit down and spend time and I guess I was just throwing things together, but I don't know. I feel like if you're putting it nowadays on Spotify and stuff, it's got to be good quality. So I wouldn't slack in that department.
Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of people are too eager to get whatever they're trying to get.
Which is not really always a bad thing, but it's got to be a good balance between quality and quantity.
Exactly. Definitely. So we can move on to the Fast Five here. I'm going to ask you 5 questions.
Yes.
And then after that, we'll wrap things up. So do you have a daily routine of sorts that you try to follow, or are you more of kind of just a come as it feels kind of person?
That's one thing I also need to improve on is scheduling. But I get up, I get ready, I see what I have to do for schoolwork. I see how important that is in terms of grade, in terms of level of priority. And then ideally, I'm just trying to learn in some way, whether it's watching YouTube videos on, different, how to produce, how to market, how to write better songs, trying to learn in some way, just inch towards that goal. So I feel like if you have your day laid out, you can definitely get more done, but also it's not about how fast you do it. It's about how consistent you are. Consistency over time is way more important. Time is your best asset. And if you're getting better each day, small wins, you'll be set.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like for a creative person, that kind of having things structured too much is going to negatively impact the
but also if you're not feeling it, you still have to get better. And also if you're not in a super creative mood, still try to work on your skills. Like even if I was making some stuff like I've just started trying to make my own beats, and I'll show someone my beat and they'll go, "Do you think you can use that like on a song?" My friends will say that. And I go, "That's not what it's about. It's about the fact that I didn't know what I was doing 2 days ago. And now I have a beat laid out. It's on time. It's arranged. It's in key. Like those are the small wins. To go from I didn't believe I could make beats. I had my buddy Colin makes beats. That's ironic. He was making the beats, and I've said I literally told myself I'm gonna focus on one thing, and that's songwriting, and I'm gonna be really good at that and singing. Why? Why limit yourself? That's coming from a limiting mindset. You want to have an abundance mindset. I can do whatever I decide to do, and I will. Bottom line, I will produce. I will make, and I made a beat last night, and it is usable. I'm telling you, things are clicking.
Yeah, and I really liked how you said that, because like you had that beat and somebody says, "Oh, is that usable?" And you're like, because that's a big perspective thing. Like you're not looking at it like, "Oh, this is trash." You're looking at it as, "Hey, I did this. This is something more than I could have done yesterday."
Absolutely, it's that progression. I'm getting better, and tomorrow it's going to sound better, and the next day it's going to sound better because I'm learning small pieces. I'm not trying to do it all at once. You can't.
Yep.
Small wins. Small wins.
All right. So I know last time you recommended Unlimited Power. Is that still your recommended book, or do you have another one?
I'm going to stay on the Russ topic. I might sound like a dick rider here, but I listened to, I hate reading, by the way. So I pulled up his audiobook on YouTube, and I just sat in my room. Then I finished it up yesterday at my lunch break on work. It was like an hour and 25. I'm not sure if it's the full audiobook, but it definitely gets you hyped and motivated, because after I listened to that whole thing, I felt so empowered. The book is titled "It's All in Your Head." And basically he's talking about what he did and his steps. He said, number one, first thing to do, own your means of recording and production and have your own studio. Because he was saying that if you look at anybody, if you're a pro basketball player, you better believe that they had a basketball hoop in their driveway when they were younger. They weren't paying $15 just to go do what they love at the local gym. If you want to be good at what you do, you better have it accessible. You better have it right there, because that's how you get your as most reps in as possible. And you're saving money. So then you can use that money that you saved to invest in yourself more. And he talks about how life rewards those who invest in themselves the most and believe in themselves. And another thing that to take away from that book is how he was talking about how you realize that you think that things take so long and that they're so hard. It's the only reason it takes so long. Like say you go, you finish recording a song and you want it to get it mixed and mastered, and you send it to an engineer to do that for you. Well, they might take a month, they might take 2 months to get to it, because you're not their top priority. But if it's your top priority, you will get it done in that day. And then you'll be like, oh my, your workflow is so much better. You can crank out an album in a night if you really want to. And that is insanely powerful. Insanely powerful.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Russ. I might have to go check that out, actually.
Definitely. It's a great read, man. And he talks about how people weren't believing in him, and he believed in himself when his plays were low, and he just kept at it. And he said you got to have a good mix between sticking your head down and then knowing when to pop up to analyze what you're doing, so because he had his head down and he made 11 albums doing the same exact thing over and over again. Another word for that is psychotic, doing the same thing over and over again with the same results. But even if he didn't get the results that other people thought he should in terms of numbers, he was still getting better, and he's still finding himself. So he said by the 11th album, he finally had his sound together. So that's very important. Once you get that, your sound is huge. And I'm still trying to find my sound, but I have so much fun just playing around with different sounds. It pains me to think that I have to be so narrow in my lane. But I think as I get better, or as I keep going, it will slowly start to just formulate into and I think I did that with this album well. I think it showed I think my sound was pretty clear throughout, even with different moods, different vibes, different genres. But I think the sound itself was pretty level.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of agree with you. I think that, kind of experimenting with different things is good in the beginning because, like,
Absolutely.
who knows, you might like this, you might like that, or
Right.
you might suck at this, you might be really good at that. And giving you that time to just work on finding what works best is important.
And one more thing on top of that, I think, putting your head down, I think in all aspects, you just get rid of as many distractions and as many comparables as possible. When I made both of my albums, and when I'm in creator mode, as I call it, I don't listen to new music. I listen to the music I have in my playlist. I don't search because I don't feel a need. If I want music other than what I usually have, I mean, I'm very selective, but if I search for an outside feel, I want to be the one to provide it. I want to be the one. If I want to hear something in the car, make it then. You be the voice in your car. I think that's very important. Sometimes people ask if I, find inspiration in other people, a couple people, but I'm also selective with who that inspiration is because I love their sound. You can get lost in trends. You don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Get lost in what's hot right now. Get lost in what you love.
Mm-hmm.
And people put labels on it. Oh, this isn't hip hop. This isn't really pop. It's like, you're not R&B. Music is music. And if it sounds good, it sounds good. Who cares what it is?
Yeah. You got to stop putting things in buckets.
You just can't label stuff,
Mm-hmm.
That's why people say, oh, you're a rapper. I hate that term. I'm an artist. I rap and I sing, but I'm not a rapper and I'm not a singer. I'm an artist. Plain and simple.
That's a good way to put it.
Just create.
So on to the next question. So what is one business tool that you would recommend for artists to use?
Yeah. I said this last time. I would still say TikTok is the most powerful. And then again, Instagram. I heard this is a really good piece of advice. Treat TikTok like your guerrilla marketing, and Instagram is your website. So you can be a little bit more selective on Instagram on what you have up there, because that's going to represent you to the fullest. TikTok, you can kind of just I call it throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. TikTok, because TikTok is not necessarily just going to your followers. It's getting spread out to random people. So you're not losing anything. It's spreading out to absolutely random people. If they like it, whatever. If they don't, you're never going to see them ever. Instagram, you're trying to cultivate a community through that. TikTok, you're trying to get people to that community and to your Spotify. You're trying to funnel them. I think of Spotify, or I think of it like this. They talk about, this is one of the things I did take away from marketing, is it's a funnel. You start with awareness. That's TikTok, getting them seeing your face, getting your name out there. Then you want to convert them. You want to convert them to your Instagram. Then from there, you can convert them to your Spotify, right? You can't just get them to your Spotify right off the bat. It would be nice, but you have to get them more interested. People will fall off. Not everyone's going to like it. Some people will follow your TikTok and they won't check out your Instagram. But the people who do want to.
Exactly.
You want people who actually give a shit.
Yeah, because people see that whole falling off thing as a bad thing, but it's actually a good thing, because you don't want those people that don't like your music to be the ones on your page and interacting with you, because they're just going to be negative.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that was really well put.
Funnel them in.
Yep. So in one sentence, explain your vision for your future. If you can put that in one sentence.
Never giving up the dream at all costs. Never. It doesn't matter. People lose when you quit. You lose when you quit. When you don't quit, you're winning. No matter what anybody else says, you're still winning. The universe will catch up with you. The universe will see the vision that you see at some point. You just got to keep working, keep learning, keep finding other ways. Think outside the box. Keep attacking it from different angles.
Yep. That's really important, actually.
And also just like carving my own lane and not focusing on what other people are doing. I said that a bunch, but a lot of times people will get signed to a record label or something and they try to change their sound. The record label tries to change their image, their sound, their values, their morals. That's huge. You don't want to lose your soul trying to find, trying to be famous.
Yeah. Both of those are very powerful. What's the number one thing that drives your motivation?
Becoming my best self, I would say, is number one, and just seeing how much better I can get and just progression. I think being your own motivation is great because it can't come from it's got to come from internal. It can't come from external. And then secondly would be providing for my family, I think, because I look at how much my parents have done for me and how hard my dad busted his ass to give me the clothes on my back, the education I had, to help me out, here and there when I need money for college and this and that. And I feel bad. I mean, I'm living at home. I know I'm a college kid, and I tell them about it. It's like I feel like shit because I'm an adult and I'm still relying on my parents a little bit. I'm not 100% self-sufficient, and it kind of feels shitty when you're an adult, but you're not at the same time. So I want them to be compensated for it at some point. I want to be able to, not be an adult for them, but be a provider for them.
Yeah.
To give back for what they've done.
Definitely. And that goes back to that thing you mentioned earlier about you're young and that you have a lot of people are like that want to pay back somebody. They're so focused on doing it in the next 6 months or the next year or whatever. But like if you're 22, like you have a long time to kind of get where you need to be in order to do that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, before I ask you the final question, I'll have you share where everybody can find you. I know you did in the beginning, but maybe one last time just to pound it in.
So if you're trying to find me, you can find me on YouTube and all social media at Joey D. Donovan, no spaces and no caps. That's Joey D. Donovan. Then if you're trying to find me on Spotify, you can look up Joey space D. Look for my face. There might be a couple other Joey D's, but nobody's got this face. So I just dropped my newest album, Not Your Average Joe. Go check that out. It's got 11 tracks on there. It's got about 3 R&B songs, 3 rap songs, and then like 3 hip hop songs. So and a couple pop songs on there too. So check that out.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that.
Check out my music videos.
All right. And to wrap things up, I'll ask you to provide one main takeaway for everyone listening. What do you want to leave the audience thinking about after this episode?
I want you to go check out my music and it'll speak for itself. That's what I want. Right.
Awesome.
I want you to believe as much as I do. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I was really happy to have you on the podcast. It was great talking with you.
Awesome talking to you, Cameron.
I'm really glad I was able to share JoeyDs story with you guys and give you an update. Thanks again for being on the show, Joey D, and thank you to everyone listening right now. I truly appreciate your support in this journey. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to hear more amazing entrepreneurial stories and advice, and I encourage you to go check out studentbuiltstartups.com. Thanks again, and I will catch you on the next episode.